This is a video for how to go about creating a fully dimensioned drawing for number 5 out of your 20 ISOs project in Fusion 360. We will double click on number 5. It'll load. We'll go to Design, Drawing from Design, PLTW title block, say OK. Now before we place the view though, it's going to automatically give me a view that, this is kind of how I began the view. Remember, this is going to read from the actual part and from the actual title block, depending on how we created the view. So I kind of want to go up to orientation here. And what if, the right side, almost like I'm walking into the front of a house, what if that's what I want my front view to be? And for the sake of this video, we're going to choose that as the front view. We could call this the most descriptive view. Now, there's different discussions you can get into about what the most descriptive view is. Obviously we're probably going to think the top of the house looking down is the most descriptive view. But for the sake of this video, we're going to choose the right side. Now you could choose an isometric view. There's all different ways you can go about choosing this from any part of the view cube you wanted to. But we're going to choose the right side as our front view. And we're going to go to 1 to 3 for our scale. I'm going to click in place. I'm going to say OK. I'm going to go to project views. I'm going to click on the front, top, side, isometric. We'll right click. We'll say OK. We will double click on our blue line. We will click shaded. We'll say close. Now, in dimensioning the object, one thing that we have to note is that we have an object or a feature that's kind of here in the middle. So one of the benefits of having this as our front view, I'm going to kind of move this down a little bit, give us a little bit more room, is we can actually place dimensions without crossing extension lines. We want to do our best to make sure that there is no misunderstanding about what the actual object lines of the object are. So our first dimension we will choose to do is to place the width dimensions. So I do my best when I place a dimension is that I don't want an extension line like going through an object, like for instance like this right here. I don't want that to happen. But we can place the full width of the object in our front view, and we're going to choose to put in the location dimensions of these horizontal lines here up in our top view as opposed to placing them in the front view. So I will go from these points here and drag out. Now this is a symmetrical object, so we could technically put in a center line as we dragged out. Remember, this will give me diagonal. I want to right click and go down to horizontal and drag straight down and place this object. And I'm going to go from here to here. We need to go to horizontal again. I'm going to right click, horizontal. I'm going to drag straight down and place those location dimensions. Remember, there's two different types of dimensions, size and location. We have the full width, which is the size of the object, the location dimensions, which probably need to be dragged out a little bit, to be honest. Those are the location dimensions of features of the part. So kind of this little, front door kind of entryway thing. I've always looked at this as kind of like a house with like a little entryway foyer on the front of it. That's the feature of the house, if you will. So our next dimensions will be the height dimensions, and we can do almost every height dimension on the front view. There's going to be 3 of them, but we can't do this dimension right here because we really don't want to drag extension lines through an object. We want to avoid doing that because this can kind of look like it's part of the object, and we don't want to do that. So I'm going to right click on this and go to delete, and we're going to get rid of that. Say OK. We're going to go ahead and go up to dimensions and place the height dimensions. I can put the full height dimensions on the front, and I can put the location dimensions of this point right here because I can place them easily without going inside the object. Now for this point, I can do this distance over here in this view, and I can click on those 2 points, left click to place. I'm going to right click and say OK. Notice that if I drag this on top, you can see that line is going to line up perfectly right with that point. I'm going to go ahead and place that, and that is the 3 height dimensions we need. Now we have several other dimensions that we'll need to place, and we're going to kind of ask ourselves where the best place to place those is. Because if I come up to my top view and I say, well, you know what, I want to go from here to here, and we're just going to place each one of these. I'll just go through and just throw them together real quick. Straight down to 3, and then from here to here, I'm going to drag over and place that. We have to ask ourselves, does it look like that this is any part of the object? And for the sake of the video, we're going to go ahead and say no. I want you to notice that there is an automatic gap according to ANSI standards placed on a drawing automatically when you place it, but sometimes when you're zoomed out, you can't really see it that well. Now we should be able to tell by looking at a side view that there's really only 3 surfaces we can see in our side view. This one, and this one. So we shouldn't look up here and think there's going to be another surface they're dimensioning to when there's 3 dimensions here and 3 surfaces here. I'm going to go ahead and click Fit. Let's click Save, and we're going to say Save. And automatically you'll see the cloud updating your project browser, and we have for ourselves a fully dimensioned drawing of number 5. So this has been a video on how to create a fully dimensioned drawing of number 5 in your 20 ISOs project in Fusion 360.